Hello and welcome everyone to this Business Central launch event for 2025 Release Wave 1. In this segment, I would like to tell you about a very interesting capability that we built in Business Central called Sales Order Agent. It is in fact the very first agent born in Business Central helping the sales team manage their operations with capturing quotes and converting these quotes into sales orders. So you can imagine that any random sales team spending a lot of time scanning through the emails coming into their mailbox, trying to understand whether this email is even a relevant sales request or not. And having understood that yes, it is in fact a quote request, they would typically go into Business Central and start performing many interesting activities inside of the product, trying to see whether they have the inventory in place, whether this is the right customer, how and when the customer wishes to deliver the items. All of these questions require time for salespeople doing these activities inside of Business Central. So with the Sales Order Agent approach, we're changing this space to 100% automate this entire process end-to-end, and yet keep the sales team in the loop, so that instead of humans and sales operators clicking around the product and trying to address the request for the quote, it is an agent which is now helping the sales team do all of these things just from an email that they receive from the customer. And instead of me just talking a lot about it, let me show all of this through the product. So here we are in Business Central, beautiful interface. And the very first thing which I see, and I may be biased in this particular situation, is the Sales Order Agent tile in the upper right corner. So this is where our agents, the Sales Order Agent and many agents in the future, will have their home and will have their presence. It is staying there invisibly until activated, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. If I'm just going to hover over this avatar of the Sales Order Agent, you see here's the first page that I can observe as an administrator setting up the Sales Order Agent. And we build it in a way that it's very easy to activate. So one action throws into my face as I look at it is activate action. So here's the configuration dialog for the Sales Order Agent, and right now it only has very few options. So in fact, if I scroll to the right, you see that's as much setup as you would need to do to make this feature work. There's a couple of options for the administrators to configure the experience of the agent in different situations, but generally what you need to do to get started is to define a mailbox account. So let me go ahead and do that. I will click on these three dots and then go through the setup wizard. By the way, please use Microsoft 365 account for the Sales Order Agent, and it has to be a shared mailbox, which you can configure for this purpose. I'm going to click Next, and I'm going to give a name to my email account that the agent is going to monitor for the incoming mail requests from customers. So for example, this one is going to be called Kronos Sales. And here's the email account which I configured. So I'm going to click Next. This is all standard setup for configuration of emails in Business Central. There's nothing new in this particular setup experience. So I'm just going to pick that account that I've just configured, hit OK, and now the email box is configured and the agent is running, and all I need to do is hit Update, and the agent will now monitor that mailbox. But before I do that, I wanted to show another place on this experience. You see, the Sales Order Agent is meant to help the sales team process these quote requests. And here, on this experience, I can add additional users to the agent, and then these users which I add will be able to interact with the agent. The users will be able to review the tasks processed by the agent, reconfigure the agent if necessary, and delegate tasks to it. So this is where you configure it. In this environment, I'm all by myself, very sad, but in your sales team, I'm pretty sure there'll be many people interacting with this Sales Order Agent. Okay, so all I need to do is just hit Update, and the agent gets activated. So now you see the tile has changed and it no longer has the pause button on it. And let me just hover over. And that's the first time you see the KPIs, the agent KPIs being activated. And obviously they're all zeros at this point of time. So the agent hasn't done any job, no praise yet for the agent. But let's see how it interacts with the very first requests. For that, I can navigate to the task pane. Otherwise, this task pane, as you can see, resides in the Copilot pane. So the Copilot is the view for the users into the world of agents. So this is where you will see the tasks coming in from the mailbox, and the agent will start processing these tasks. So by the way, here's the easy shortcut to the configuration experience. If you need to go back and configure the agent, add a few more configuration options. All right, so at this point of time, it's configured. There's nothing else I need to do. But let's now step into the shoes of the customer of this company, sending a request for a quote. So for that, I will navigate into the mailbox of the customer. And here I have prepared a few emails for us to play with and understand the capabilities of the agent. So for example, let me go ahead and send this email. And while it is being delivered, I can step back into Business Central. Now, technically right now, what's happening in the background, there is a business logic inside of Business Central which checks that mailbox periodically, whether there's new emails available for the agent to pick up. And as soon as it discovers that, yes, there is a new email, you see, it is picking up that task and starting to process it. So right now, it fetches it from Outlook. It tries to read the text. It tries to understand what the text is about. And it tries to see whether it's a relevant request, whether it's a request it wants to proceed with or not. So let's give it a few seconds to complete. All right, in this particular case, we were looking straight at the screen for maybe a few seconds, given time to the agent to process that email. In the real life, though, you don't have to look at this pane all the time. So you can just close it and go your way in Business Central, do your job and do your tasks, and the agent will call out to you when it requires your attention. So in this case, let's take a look at what's the agent received. So here's a request from Jan, and in this experience, I can preview the email received by the agent. So you see, I'm here drilling through into the step. I can see the email message. I can see when it is received, who it is received from. But the contact, the person who sent this email, is an unknown contact. Now, it's important to mention that the sales order agent only works with registered contacts and customers inside of Business Central, at least at this point of time. Who knows what the future will bring. However, we made it convenient for you to, just in time, create and register that contact in Business Central and proceed with the flow. Here you also see, hey, there's a nice notification thrown to you that the contact with this email is not found. Good. So now we can look through the text of the email, just like you would in Outlook. However, you're just reviewing it here in BC. And let's see what exactly this customer is asking for. So they're not just asking for specific furniture, they're asking for this furniture made of specific material. For example, hey, I would like it to be in cotton, and I would like it to be of a very specific color. So these requests may come in many different shapes and forms, and the agent should be able to search through this information very, very reliably. So I'm going to kick off the agent to proceed with its task. But in the meantime, let me explain a few words about the search. So what the agent can do, it can search through the inventory in Business Central, and it uses many, many parameters and surrounding data of the items to find the correct ones. So one obvious example would be using just the title of an item. But the agent goes beyond that. So it uses search to not only read through the data on the item, table, or card itself. It also goes into the related information. It can search through extended texts. it can search through translations, it can search through item attributes. So it will search through all, and by the way, item categories as well and category codes. So it searches through multiple tables to understand if this is the right item that the user is asking for or not. So let's take a look and review this information. Here's something that the agent has already performed the search on. And it comes back with the result. Look, these are the ones that we have in our stock. So these are the chairs which match your request. And it adds a few more dimensions to this reply. So here's the items with a certain availability level. So the users can see whether the items are available or not. We also show the pricing point and the unit of measure. So how does the agent checks for availability? Now, this is an interesting experience that you may want to try and play with. So the agent uses a page called item availability page, which human users and human operators can definitely use as well. So to understand whether items are available or not. And we specifically designed this page to be very helpful to the agent. So you can go ahead and apply certain filters. For example, I'm searching for chairs. So these are my chairs. And I'm searching on a specific date filter. And I'm searching for a specific customer. And I'm searching for a specific location. And this is the quantity that I'm looking for. So for example, 20, the quantity of 20 of a specific item. And here on this page, we're listing some of the key parameters that you as a salesperson would want to have having the conversation with the customer. And we are combining these data points here on this page, the unit price, the discount, all linked to these filters to calculate the availability. And here you see a very simple flag whether the items following this configuration are available or not. So this is the information that we are wrapping with the response of the agent here. And the human operator can review this outgoing email message. So it appears to be working fine. And they can confirm to proceed. So I'm confirming this message. And off it goes to Jan, explaining which items are available or not. Imagine this situation done before the agent was introduced in Business Central. You would probably have to do quite a few steps to understand which items are being requested, which items are being available, not available, and things of that nature. So now let's look at another scenario. Here's another task which the agent just processed. This time it's an email coming from Helen. So let's see what was done by the agent in this case. I, as a human operator, I can still review what was requested. And in this case, Helen is asking for the very, very long list of chairs. Again, it would probably have taken me a long, long time to understand whether we have these items available, what are the prices, what are the terms and conditions. Helen is also asking for a specific delivery date. So she wants the items to be delivered early next month. She wants to register her own purchase document number. Just to make it easier for her to find it in her system. So there's a lot going on in this email. But the great thing about it is that I don't have to read this email. The agent has already read this email. And it did create a sales quote automatically. And it updated that quote with details requested by Helen. So the details are mentioned here in the user experience. So I can click on these fields and see exactly how these fields are populated. And if you notice as well, all of these items requested by Helen, so they are added here to the sales quote with all of the requested quantities and all of the data pulled by the system. So instead of creating this document manually, the agent helped pre-populate and pre-create that quote. So everything I need to do is generally review this outgoing email request. So all of the quantities and items look good. I'm just going to confirm and send it to Helen. So this is the process of agent helping the sales team process these requests. And it can support scanning the inbound emails. It can support checking the items availability. It can also work on creating the actual sales quote. iterating on the sales quote. If Helen comes back and wants to change 1 or 2 lines on this sales quote, the agent will find that quote and update the line. And finally, when Helen confirms that email message, it will be converted from quote into an order. Curious to see how it looks like from the customer perspective? Let me show you that part. So let me navigate back into the inbox and show you how it looks like from the customer perspective. So here's a conversation between Yen and the sales order agent, conversing very naturally in natural language with Yen, asking some questions. Hello, do you have such and such items in your inventory? The sales order agent is replying with all of the things that we've seen through the demo. Then Yen is making his choice of specific items, having seen all of these inventories. So he's asking for 2 Tokyo Cheers. The sales order agent prepares and sends the sales quote, so I can open the attachment and see it. Comes directly from Business Central, looks good. And then what happens next is Yen says, that's good, so let's proceed with the order. And that quote is converted to a sales order. So now the sales order confirmation is received, the order is captured, Yen is happy because all of it has happened in a matter of some minutes rather than maybe days in the worst case. So this is the conversation seen from the customer eyes. All right, but sometimes the agent does receive much more interesting emails. So let me show you that example as well. So let's look at this couple of emails. In the first case, let me just go ahead and click and open it. You see that the agent tagged this inbound email with a warning text. So it actually says that, hey, this incoming message appears not to be relevant to sales order agent. So in fact, I can just ignore this message, stop the task, and leave it there. But I'm curious to see what it is, so let me open it up. And of course, it's one of those tacky commercials that you sometimes get in your Outlook mailbox. Once in a lifetime opportunity, 100% legit, no risk. You can make $10,000 every week. Wouldn't you all love to receive such emails in your mailbox? You probably would, but it's not something business critical. And therefore, the agent is telling you, hey, this message is a promotional advertisement, not related to what sales agent should be doing. However, if you choose to proceed, you can. Because there may be some cases where it's not so obvious that this is some promotional campaign, but you can ask the agent to give it a try. However, there may be another situation where the message is harmful. So the message contains some content which can be disturbing and cannot be, just taken lightly. In this case, you can see that we're making an effort of even hiding this message. So the content of the message is blocked and not made visible to the user. The user can still open it up and review. I'm not going to do that right now. But generally, the system will not allow for these messages to proceed in the system, in processing. So if you could say that, hey, agent, even though it's not relevant, give it a try. For the messages which are obviously harmful, the agent will not allow processing such messages. So that's another way that for the agent to save time for you and not waste it on processing some advertisement or openly harmful emails. One other thing which I wanted to show you is that after having worked with the agent for some time, imagine that it did help processing so many emails for your team. And generally, as you have seen me doing in this demo, all the salespeople need to do is review the information generated by the agent and approve or decline the messages. So that is the type of work that they would be doing, reviewing the agent's activities. And all of the time saved can be used on much more fulfilling activities of actually calling the customers, making the deals, agreeing on some final details, and polishing these orders before they're fulfilled. So there's just so much time spent on these activities. And you might be asking how much time is spent on these activities. And for that, we built this KPIs dialog, which is right now already filled up with some data. So we did receive several emails. So you saved time by not reading these emails. You saved time by not creating the document manually. And some of the quotes were converted into the orders. So this dialogue would give you just a hint of insight of what kind of effort the agent is saving you, so you can spend that effort on some other tasks. Now, one final piece of information which I wanted to share with you is just a little bit of insight into how the agent works under the hood. I'm not going to go into deep technical details, but generally, if you think about it, the agent has access to the entirety of Business Central application. And it accesses Business Central through the user interface. It is not analyzing pixels and dots on the screen. It actually can connect to the actions, controls, data displayed on the UI to understand how to perform the task, to understand which steps to take, and how to complete the given assignment. Now, it has access to all of the richness of the metadata, the names of the actions, the captions of these actions. All of it is fed into the engine of the agent behind the scenes, and it reasons over these data and decides how to fulfill this task and how to go about completing that assignment. And you might think that, hey, this is very overwhelming because Business Central has a lot of functionality. I mean, look at it. Let me just open this view. I love seeing it every time I look at it. There's just so much capabilities built into Business Central ERP application. But we want to somehow limit what the agent can do and see. So let me show you that. If I go into the agent card, you will notice that agents are designed based on the same principle as the users. So if I open the agent card, it looks very, very similar, if not 100% the same, to the layout of the user card. So here you see the general information about the agent, the name and the description and display name. Here you see agent permission sets. So this is the first level of control that administrators can use to provide limited scope of authorization to this agent. So through these permissions, which by the way come with the agent itself, built by Microsoft, so we did outline the exact permissions needed for the agent to fulfill its task in these permission sets. So I can look it up and then see what is included with these permission sets. So I can just scroll all the way down, see what kind of tables and capabilities the agent has access to. If I disable this agent, so I need to disable this agent to be able to modify these permissions, I can go and modify them, adjust, make it more strict or make it more flexible. So up to you as an administrator, because no Business Central is the same. You probably need to a little bit tune these permissions. You will also see some of the users, all of the users, which were given access to the agent. But one other interesting thing is that you will also see the profile used by the agent. Now, instead of me explaining what the profile does to the agent, let me just go ahead and change the profile. So as I would do for a typical user, I would go into my settings, and here I will find the Sales Order Agent Copilot profile. And let me switch that, apply it to myself, and it will reload the Business Central. And let's see what happens on the screen. So now if I go back to the Role Center, we're looking at the Business Central capabilities through the eyes of the agent. So you see that this user experience is much lighter. It has nothing which the Sales Order Agent is not supposed to work with. It has access to the list of, it can interact with the list of customers, contacts, sales quotes, and sales orders. And under the sales menu, it can only go into the sales quotes. We also refined what you can see on the sales quote card itself. You see there's no fact boxes, there's no irrelevant information. We cleaned up this form to remove the things which are not 100% relevant to the role of the agent. So this form is much lighter, and it's made so through their changes to the profile. So using profiles, you can design the interaction surface of the agent and expose or hide certain controls from its view. This is a very powerful model, and when you think about customizations that you may have in your system, you may definitely have a few extra fields or a few extra actions, or maybe many actions and fields available on the sales quote and sales order. By adding these fields and actions to the sales order agent profile, you make them available for the agent to interact with. So the agent can discover these fields and try to set them up and configure and reconfigure this particular sales quote. So that's a short glimpse under the surface to see how administrators can control this experience. They can do it in two ways, by setting up permissions and by setting up the profiles. That was the story of the sales order agent. There's plenty of great documentation available for you to study, and we're really hoping that this is the beginning of an amazing journey of many agents helping you, helping your customers and users be better at working with the product, working with their clients, working with their customers, and generally enjoy life. Thank you so much.